Welcome back to the JC Pod. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Pornon. It's Thanksgiving week already. Man, I won't lie. Time feels like it's flying. We're already to Thanksgiving week. Insane to think about that Thanksgiving's already here. That means we basically we got NFL games Thursday, Friday, Sunday. We basically got football games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you count the college games as well, so it's gonna be a fun weekend, man. Got games everywhere. College hoops are going to be happening throughout the day as well. I mean, it's truly going to be a fun one. But yeah, going into today, we're pretty much just going to recap everything that happened in college football and NFL football that is of key importance. So yeah, I'll go through some NFL, talk some NFL news, and then after that, move on and then talk about some college football scores. This is a big week for college football. We got rivalry matchups like Florida State, Florida, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, Alabama, Georgia. And actually, I lied. We might not have Alabama, Georgia. That might be the SEC game by accident. I think Alabama plays Auburn, actually. That was my mistake. But yeah, it's going to be a really exciting time, man. We got a bunch of, they play Georgia the following week. That was my fault. Yeah, they play, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm really excited for that. But yeah, without any further ado, we'll basically kind of just go over to the NFL. We'll just kind of talk about what happened there real quick, and then after that we will move on to talk about some college. We are going into week 11. Started off Thursday night football started off really rough. Ravens went 34-20, but the scores are not the biggest thing. Lamar Jackson now is going to be dealing with some ankle issue stuff. It looks like he hurt and rolled his ankle. Also got his elbow stepped on. That didn't look too comfy. Along with that, Mark Andrews fractured leg. It sounds like he won't be back unless they make a really deep playoff run, which kind of sucks for them because he was a really good safety blanket. I mean, you saw it last night with the Eagles. They lost Dallas Goedert, and if you watch that game, it looks like they could have used a safety blanket a lot that game. I mean, they ended up winning. We'll talk about that in a minute. However, Mark Andrews, I don't want to say he's done for the year because the Ravens could make a deep run, but he's going to be gone for a long, long while. Somebody who is done for the year, though, Joe Burrow. Hate to see it, man. Hate to see a torn ligament in his wrist. If you watched him on the sideline, he was in very, very clear pain. He couldn't even throw the football, couldn't grip the football. You thought it might be just a little injury. It's like, oh, this won't be too bad, but nope, it ended up being season-ending. That's going to be the part that sucks for the Bengals now. I don't want to say their season's completely over, but the Bengals season might be over now. With Joe Burrow out, that might have been the injury that they just couldn't afford to happen. Especially with how slow they started. They're 5-5. I'm pretty sure they're 0-5 in conference. Yeah, I mean, they're in the back door of the playoffs right now with the 5-5 record, but they have a bit of a harder schedule at 2, if I am correct. I'll double check it real quick right here. It's not the hardest, but they play Steelers, Jaguars, Colts, Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs, Browns. So it's not the hardest schedule, but yeah, shout out to the Ravens, man. They get a big win. Yeah, it seems like this is going to be the year of the quarterback injuries where they just, I don't know if we protected them too much. I don't know what it is, but every quarterback just seems to be getting hurt, and it's sucks, man. We're seeing a lot of backups. This is the year of the backup quarterback. Moving on to the next game, Rams, Seattle. We can go through this game somewhat quickly. Seahawks, they led for majority of the game. They were up 13-7 and a half. And then they make it 16-7. They basically lead the whole time. Then a fourth quarter comeback by the Rams helps the Rams win 17-6. So Sean McVay still owns the Seahawks and Pete Carroll, even though they look like they had a chance to win. I think what really killed the Seahawks is Kenneth Walker went out with an oblique injury, I think, pretty early on within the first half, so that always hurts. You hate to see that. And then the one that made it worse was Geno Smith gets absolutely clobbered by Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald basically hit him with both hands, hit him slightly in the face, not too much, but it was a hard hit. One of the harder hits we've seen this season when it comes to quarterback. I was glad it wasn't called first off because they need to quit calling fouls and everything, but I'm glad it wasn't called, but now Geno's hurt, dealing with some injuries. They brought Drew Lock in. Then they bring Geno back in. They have a chance to win it. The Seahawks do. Seahawks have a little bit of a game-winning drive. They bring it down, and then it comes down to a 55-yard field goal that just barely is missed by Jason Myers. He just barely misses it. The Rams are able to pull it out. Now the big question is Geno going to be ready for Thursday Night Football? It sounds like there's potential, but as of right now, we don't know. I think, if I remember correctly, Pete Carroll said it's not super, super serious, but he's going to be dealing with it for a few days. So it's going to be, could be like a week injury, could be a 2-week injury. We'll just see. So, yeah, I genuinely don't know if he's going to play or not. But, yeah, 17-16 divisional win. Big, big win for the Rams, who really needed that win because now the biggest thing, too, is they've swept the Seahawks in division, even with the Seahawks Even with the Seahawks as high as they are, they're like second in conference right now. I think I think they're second conference right behind the 49ers. But I remember, if you guys heard my show, or if you followed my show on Thursday, and then you also maybe saw Captain by Hook Friday, or if you even looked yourself, their schedule is grueling for the Seahawks upcoming. 49ers, or home 49ers, at Cowboys, at 49ers, home Eagles. That's their next month's schedule, man. Though there's a real chance now that they could end up 6-8, and all of a sudden their magical start to the season turns into wait, how are we below 500 now? It is crazy, man. The NFL is a wild, wild sport. Speaking of that, we got two blowouts that I'll basically quickly brush over. 32-6 blowout of the Jets. We don't really need to talk about much of this game. The Bills finally looked right. The Jets finally scored a touchdown for the first drive and like 40 drives or something. They're finally benching Zach Wilson. That's the biggest thing from this game. Zach Wilson finally got benched for Tim Boyle. They're going to Tim Boyle on Friday until Aaron Rodgers returns. I still, at this point, I don't know if he's going to want to return. I mean, he still could be trying to, but I don't know if he will, just simply for the fact how the season's gone for the Jets. They've just kind of had a bit of a tailspin now. But, I mean, their schedule does get a little forgiving. They play the Dolphins, Falcons, Texans, Dolphins, Commanders, Browns, Patriots. So, I mean, those are winnable games, but I don't know if it's going to be, with the way their team's playing now, it feels like they've kind of lost a little bit of opportunity. But shout out to the Bills, man, getting a little bit back on track. Bills are now 6-5. Jets moved to 4-6. I mean, I'll also talk about right before I move on to college, I'll go over the wild card picture real quick and talk about that. But yeah, shout out to the Bills, man. Get big win over the Jets. You really didn't miss much in this game. The Jets' offense just basically was non-existent. And I guess there's a trend now where if Josh Allen is going to win a game, he usually covers. And a lot of those have even been big spreads. So if you really think the Bills are going to win a game, it sounds like it's worth it to just take them on the spread regardless. It sounds like Josh covers majority of the time. I have to check if this is 100% true, but from what I've seen and like some of the stuff I've seen so far, it's actually pretty close. It's like, oh, okay, that might actually be worth it. So we'll see. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that. That might be something that we need to keep our eye on. Another blowout game we can talk about the Jaguars against the Titans. The Titans season might just be over at this point. I don't know if they might be trying to build into next year a little bit and just see what they got with Will Levis. See what they need to upgrade, because, this big game was basically 34-7. And then with 4 minutes left, Jeffrey Simmons caught a touchdown for the Titans. That was a really cool play to watch. Just sucks, though, that they kind of used that trick play when they were just getting blown out. But, yeah, shout out to Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a bit of a better game. Derrick Henry basically didn't do much of anything at all for the Titans. D-Hop had a deep touchdown pass. Calvin Ridley had 2 touchdown receptions from Trevor Lawrence. Jaguars just looked right this game. They actually looked really, really good. I mean, like I said, 34-7. Especially in division, that's really impressive. It just also just shows you maybe how bad the Titans are this year, and just I don't know, man. The Titans just look weird. They have a chance to get right next week. They play the Panthers, but the Titans are 3-7. Yeah, that's bad, man. If they lose next week, that might be a it's just weird, man. They play a lot better on the home versus what they play on the road this year. I don't know what that is. I don't know what is causing that, but I don't know. Shout out to the Jaguars, though. Jaguars got a big win. We don't need to talk about. It's just we don't need to talk about too much when it comes to this game. I don't think it just comes down to Jaguars absolutely kicked their ass. They're 7-3. The Titans are now 3-7. I just mean the Jaguars are dominating the division now. It looks like. I mean I believe their only losses are one of them is to the Texans. I want to say they lost to the 49ers. They've lost to the Chiefs and they've lost to the Texans. Yeah, that game against the Texans this week, man, that could be for the division potentially because, like I said, the Jaguars already swept when it comes down to division losses and tiebreakers and everything. That could be a really, really big game, so I'm excited to see. That could be an exciting game Sunday. Chargers blow it against the Green Bay Packers. Jaden Reed gets a rushing touchdown. Justin Herbert has a few passing touchdowns. Keenan Allen gets in the end zone again. He's going to be appearing on a Nasty Boy now because I believe this is like 2 or 3 weeks in a row that he scored. But man, this Chargers team is just a mess. It seems like they have a chance to win it. They go up, and then their defense does what it's done all year. It lets the other team score. Jordan Love has basically a game-winning drive to score with about 2:38 left. Passes it to Romeo Doubs, and the Chargers have a chance to do something. They get the ball back Herbert throws it right down the sideline, and Quentin Johnson dropped it. Hate to see it, honestly. That drop by Quentin Johnson was a huge one. Pretty much, it for sure sealed the game because I can't remember if it was on fourth down, it might have been. But it was it just hit him right in the hands. He dropped it, which really sucks. I mean, he's a rookie. It's going to happen. It just sucks that it happened in that moment. The Chargers basically lose another game. It's to the point now where it's like I'm not going to say just Justin Herbert's fault. He had 260 and 2 touchdowns. I think Justin Herbert, it's starting to get to the point a little bit where it's like, man, I don't know if I can properly evaluate Justin Herbert. They just continually not get it done. I've watched Staley's defense just give up touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. It feels like they can't, whenever they need to get a stop, it feels like the Chargers defense can't get a stop. I think Staley's about had it too. You saw how frustrated he was. If you saw the press conference, Staley was just basically ripping into reporters like, I'm going to call the defense so you don't got to keep asking. I'm going to call the defense. You can quit asking. Like, he was basically snapping at reporters. I think he can sense that his job's starting to finally come on. I mean, you understand. I mean, first off, the Chargers should have never been favored in Lambeau. This game at worst should have been a pick'em. The fact off that they were favored by 3, I'm not. I was like, oh. That's the first thing. I'm like, oh, I'm for sure staying away. With how bad the Packers have burnt me this year betting, I'm like, oh, this is the stay away bowl. Bill Simmons said it best. If you bet on this game, you might have a gambling problem. If you bet a side on this game, because both these teams are messes of their own. But I mean, Jordan Love, 27 for 40, 322, and 2 touchdowns. That is by far his best game of the year, and it comes against the Chargers defense. I mean, the closest he got to 322 yards was last week against Pittsburgh, where he had to throw it when he was down. This week they were like sort of up, and they're playing with an up script. I don't mean he threw that much. I don't know how much longer Staley's going to stay there. Hot seat coach of the week is going to be Staley or Ron Rivera this week. We're just going to go with those two because seriously, we might end up actually, funny enough, talking about that game next. So that actually is a great transition to move on to the next game because it's another questionable coaching job. By the way, before I move on though, record-wise, Chargers with that loss, they moved to 4-6, and the Packers as well with that win moved to 4-6. Packers play the Lions on Thursday night, going to be a big division game. Meanwhile, the Chargers go and play the Ravens, so that could be another loss incoming. This is just, man, that's going to be rough for it's been rough for the Chargers as of late. They were, heading into Sunday's game, they were 500 in their career as a franchise, like the history of the Los Angeles Chargers franchise ever since they first started. Whoa! This is what's awesome about being live in the morning. Wow. I got just chills to think about. This is major news. Steelers are moving on from Matt Canada. Whoa! I didn't even get the chance to get to the Steelers game yet. We'll have to save Ron Rivera in a minute. I guess we can go Steelers-Browns because, they just fired Matt Canada. That's huge, man. The Steelers offense, there's been Steelers fans who've been crying and complaining about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's been multiple years. I mean, Matt Canada, the Steelers offense, only offense not to have about 300 yards. Or it's either 300 or 400 yards, I forget the stats, but they're the only team in the NFL. I'm pretty sure it's like about 400. Only team in the NFL not to have 400 yards of offense in a single game. And I think since Matt Canada's been hired in like 2019, and the next closest NFL team had like 3 or 4. I mean, their offense was absolutely abysmal. I mean, these last 2 weeks, it just felt like they finally got something out of it. It felt like they got something out of it last week. And then this past week, there was a 10-13 loss to the Browns. I just felt like their offense just basically was not moving. When it comes to this move, this is from Mike Tomlin, Matt Canada's been relieved of his duties as the offensive coordinator. I appreciate Matt's hard work and dedication and wish him the best moving forward in his career. So the good old generic, I appreciate it. We'll see you. So apparently, Nathaniel Dell, who's Tank Dell, he officially changed his name fully to Tank Dell. So now there's no more questions because apparently there's some questions, people coming out calling him Nathaniel. Occasionally Nathaniel Dell and all that. He's officially Tank Dell. That's a great name. Love the name. But yeah, back to the Steelers though. Jerome Ford had a rushing touchdown early on in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Dustin Hopkins had a field goal. Steelers don't score till the third quarter when they get a 74-yard run by Jalen Warren. That was their only score. And then fourth quarter, they get a field goal from Boswell. And then Hopkins ends up kicking the game winner after the defense for the Steelers just caves a little bit. Man, stat-wise though, Kenny Pickett, 15 for 28, 106. Still didn't throw it in the middle of the numbers. Jalen Warren had 129 yards rushing. Past that, Najee 35-yard rushing. Pickens, 38 yards receiving, 20 yards receiving. I mean, if you look across the board, I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was 24 for 43 for 165, and then I would consider that almost a better game. Myles Garrett had a really good game as well. He continues to be essentially the leader for Defensive Player of the Year. 2 sacks again. I mean, Garrett's a machine, dude. But yeah, I mean, that was basically just a low-scoring divisional Cleveland Browns-Pittsburgh Steelers game where it's grimy and gritty all the time. You thought the Steelers were going to find a way to do it again, man, where they were just going to, it's like, man, they've sucked all game. They're going to find a way to win this. Are you serious? And they just weren't able to this time. But yeah, that's a huge firing, man. Moving on from Matt Canada. They obviously, man, it's crazy because they were still having a somewhat good season. Like I said, they were still 6-4. The Browns moved to 7-3 though. It looks like those are going to be the two teams battling it out for the division, just due to the injuries to the other side. Man, that kind of stinks that the Browns don't play. And the Steelers and Browns now officially split the season series. So yeah, that's either team kind of has destiny of the division in their hands if they just can continue to win out. So I'm very curious to see how, potentially, I mean, the Ravens are still there too. That's an insane division, man. I totally forgot about the Ravens for half a second. Yeah, that's an insane division. We can quickly go over this game because this was a shocking score. But the 4-7 Commanders now fall 31-19 to the 3-8 Giants. Who? No, the Giants. Saquon Barkley gets a touchdown early. Then I mean, I won't lie. Tommy DeVito looked good. Saquon ends up with 2 touchdowns this game. Tommy DeVito ends up with 3 passing touchdowns, 246 yards. Sam Howell 31 for 45 for 255. He had 3 interceptions. That probably was a killer. This was a kind of shocking game. Most people assumed just thought the Giants were dead. They weren't going to do anything. I mentioned this when I made my Pickem show. I said I want to put my 10 on. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if the Giants win this game at all. Just because it just felt like it was one of those things where it's a division game. I felt like a lot of people thought the Commanders were a slam dunk, and it's like, what's the Commanders? Are they really a slam dunk? I know I didn't bet this game. I had nothing in this game. I'm not even shocked by the score, honestly. I thought there was a small window that I personally, I still thought the Commanders would win. I mean, if you saw Pickem, I still put a 10 on them. I thought they would win, but I saw the world where it's like, oh yeah, they'll definitely probably lose that game. That's the only 2 games I'm mad about Pickem-wise. I lost this week were the Chargers game and the Commanders game. It's like, oh, okay, I could see that one. The rest, I mean, even then, like the Steelers one I lost, I'm not mad about it, but it's kind of like, man, they had a chance. Sucks that they blew it. But yeah, this game, I mean, the Giants just absolutely looked dominant. They actually looked really good. Commanders had 6 turnovers, though. But when you have 6 turnovers, yeah, it's going to be hard to win a game with 6 turnovers. Miami Dolphins and Raiders, this was a really close game for some reason. Dolphins, it was like kind of back and forth, and the Dolphins get 2 field goals in the third quarter, and that was basically the end of the scoring. So the Dolphins had their 2 touchdowns. The Raiders basically had a touchdown and a few field goals, and then, yeah, Dolphins kick a field goal in the third quarter with 5 minutes left and 30 seconds left, and that was the end of the scoring. Defense has kind of prevailed in this game. The Dolphins defense, I think, got 3 takeaways. Aiden O'Connell had 3 interceptions. 2 had an interception himself. It wasn't the best Tua game. I mean, they didn't have to do a lot. They probably should have, if anything, stuck with the run game a little bit more. I felt like Raheem Mostert was running all over them, and they only gave him, they gave him 22 carries, so I can't say they didn't lean on the run game, but I felt like they could have maybe had, this is me being overly picky, too, obviously. I felt like, because they obviously won, I felt like maybe they could have got away from the pass slightly quicker and just only went to the run and did more runs. But hey, they won the game. Doesn't really matter. They obviously had 22 carries from Mostert as well, so they actually made an effort to do the run game. I feel like if Devon Achane doesn't get hurt, he potentially do a little bit better. But shout out to the Raiders, man. They played tight. They played a tough and fought and competitive game. Now they go and play the Chiefs. I don't remember. I think they beat the Chiefs without Antonio Pierce, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do with Antonio Pierce. I'm trying to even see when they played the Raiders. Oh, the Chiefs haven't played the Raiders yet? I was thinking the Broncos. I'm stupid, aren't I? Yeah. I forgot. So this is going to be the first matchup of the Raiders-Chiefs rivalry. I forgot the Broncos are the ones who play the Chiefs, not the Raiders. That's where I messed up. I was sitting there, it's like, where is this at? Moving on, though. Arizona Cardinals, Houston Texans. Really fun game. Really awesome game. Shout out to the Cardinals, man. That was one of the more impressive tank jobs if they are tanking. Because they're looking competitive in all these games. They're finding ways to lose it right at the end. Jonathan Gannon with the masterclass of a tank job if that's what they're doing. Just simply, I mean, I would understand they probably don't. I mean, at this point, this is a lost season. They don't, I mean, they still want to do good, though, obviously player-wise and everything, but this is one of C.J. Stroud's worst games that he's had as a rookie so far, and they were still able to find a way to win. C.J. Stroud had 336 passing, but 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Devin Singletary, 112 on the ground and with a touchdown. I mean, truly, this team went off, man. They had a really good week. Yeah, overall, though, Tank Down, man. He went off as well. 8 receptions, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, that boy is balling. I just mentioned him a little bit earlier. I think they played this game without Nico Collins. I remember. Oh, no, he was back. Nico Collins at 7 for 65. I mean, just shout out to the Texans, man. The Texans are they're truly impressive. I didn't think I'll be honest. When it came to the draft, like, I could see, like, there was a world where, I don't remember what I said, like, off the top of my head, but I assume I was in the world of, like, around where, like, I knew C.J. Stroud could potentially be good, but I'll admit, rookie year, I did not expect him to be this good. Like, I'm actually blown away with how impressive he's looked. I think he finally just now has, like, 6 or 7 interceptions, and 3 of them are from this one game. I mean, he's done an amazing job of taking care of the ball. He leaves his team in the games. He answers all the questions right. You heard him if you heard what he asked to Tom Brady, he asked him, like, what can you do to, like, kind of basically block out the noise when he was on Tom Brady's podcast. I mean, this kid says all the right things. I'll be honest, like, I love him as a quarterback, hate that he's in my division, because that guy's really impressive. I really respect the hell out of C.J. Stroud. He's going to be the reason these Texans are going to be, like, relevant for a while. As long as he stays healthy, these Texans are going to be relevant simply for the fact that they got C.J. Stroud at quarterback, and he can make anything happen. It feels like he can make. I mean, it feels like he's. Imagine this either last week or the week before. It feels like, you know how every, like, 4 or so years you get that generational quarterback where it's like, oh, but for this group, it's him. Is that C.J. Stroud? We'll have to see, man. Like I said, he had a bad game last week, but even then, you saw the confidence. He basically said, like, when they asked him about his 3 interceptions and everything, he's like, hey, shoot or shoot. I believe in myself. I believe in my way. Sometimes it's not going to work. You got to keep shooting. And it's confidence like that makes you realize, like, oh, this kid could potentially really be special. Speaking of special, man, the Lions had a special comeback. Shout out all my Bears fans. Man, they were going wild in the first quarter. I'm with them though. I think the Bears should definitely. I'm in the camp where they should keep Justin Fields. I think he's not horrible. If they give him an offense, imagine if he had an offensive line and Marvin Harrison with DJ Moore and all that. He could potentially be really good. I'm to the point now where it's like I've seen enough from Justin Fields where it's like, you know what, he might actually be impressive if they could actually protect him. I just think that the coaching there is abysmal. Offensively, it's not the best. It could be way better. Matt Eberflus, loved him as the DC for the Colts. I just don't know if he's a head coach personally. You want to talk about another hot seat coach? I just haven't met Matt Eberflus, mentioned him at all this year. For those of you Bears fans wondering why I haven't, I thought he'd be fired before I'd even need to mention it. Honestly, they blew that game Sunday. This is crazy. Lions score 13, basically score 2 touchdowns in the last seconds. If you can watch, if there's any clip you want to watch Dan Campbell after the game. I mean, the first 20 seconds, like first 5 seconds, that primal scream he has when they win. I mean, this is a guy that, like, I tell you what, the Lions are 8-2 for first time since 1960. In the 60s, it probably was 62 if it's the exact year. But man, 1962 if it's the exact year. So it was funny. The best way to put this, Ryan Russillo talked about in his podcast. So say there's a 71-year-old Lions fan. The last time the Lions were 8-2. This isn't a 14-2, 13-2, 10-2, 8-2. The last time a Lions fan, if he's 71 years old, the last time the Lions were 8-2 is when he was 61. When he was 10. 10. That's how long it's been. For some Lions fans, it's been almost 60 years since they've seen their team 8-2. I mean, for real, this Lions team is gritty. I'll go over some scores real quick. Rushing touchdown from Foreman, rushing touchdown from Gibbs. Shout out to the Bears, though. The Bears actually looked really impressive. This was one of the first games in a while where it's like, oh, maybe I just got that game wrong and the Bears actually got something to them. Bears fall to 3-8, though, while the Lions moved to 8-2. But yeah, like, Gibbs scored, field goal by Bears, touchdown to Amon-Ra. And then this is all Bears City. Santos field goal, Justin Fields deep pass to the right. That was an actually beautiful deep ball. Santos field goal, and then it comes down to, this is all Lions, baby. Jared Goff, deep pass to the right to Jameson Williams. Jared Goff had a bad game in the first half, wasn't rattled. Ends up coming back, throws a deep strike to Jameson Williams. Sorry, my buddy was texting me about About Matt Canada. Yeah, Matt. No, sorry. I texted my buddy about the Matt Canada. Matt Canada. He's a Steelers fan, so shout out my boy Jaron. You're free. No, back to this game, yeah, but basically it comes down to Jared Goff with the deep ball, Jameson Williams. They need to get a stop. There's just 3 minutes left in the game. They need to get a 3 and out. They get the 3 and out. Justin Fields throws a pretty ball that goes right off the fingertips of Scott. I mean, I won't lie. I don't know if Fields needed to put slightly less under it, if the receiver just needed to run a little bit farther, but Fields threw a pretty ball there. It was a really pretty ball. Ends up getting dropped. The Lions get the ball back. David Montgomery ends up scoring with 31 seconds left to get his revenge touchdown. And then to make matters worse for the Bears, they finally get the ball back with about 30 seconds. Very first play. I think it's literally the first play. It's either first or second play. Justin Fields steps back to pass. Ends up getting sacked by Aiden Hutchinson. The ball's out. There's an offensive lineman going to pick it up. Hutchinson pushes the offensive lineman. The offensive lineman ends up kicking the ball to the end zone. Then Hutchinson punts the ball into the stands as they get a safety. And that's the game. The Lions win. Come back, score, 16 points unanswered pretty much in a 3-minute span. Bears absolutely fall apart. Just another game where the Bears just find a way to beat the Bears. They finally, I won't lie, they were turning Bears fans into Lions. I got Bears fans in my group chat saying they're going to become Lions fans now. So I don't know if they actually will or not, but man, Bears fans, it's been a tough one for you guys. That was a bad game to lose. The Bears now go into next week. They play the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Hopefully that's a spot for them to potentially get back right. But the way the Vikings have been, man, that's going to be tough. But shout out to the Lions, man. They move on. That was a really fun game to watch as well. Quick blowout. Panthers lose 33-10 to the Cowboys. I mean, it was 17-10. I think basically this is about 17. It was 17-10 in the third quarter. CeeDee Lamb scores another touchdown. By the way, that's another guy who's on the NBA Jam watch. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was third quarter that Bryce Young ended up throwing a touchdown pass to Tommy Tremble. So it's about 17-7 in the third quarter, and then the Cowboys in the fourth quarter were like, we need to just get out of here, man. We're playing the Panthers. Why are we letting them be this close? Tony Pollard gets a rushing touchdown. Bryce Young intercepted by Deron Bland, I believe his name. Deron Bland, who, hey, I think if this is, I misquoted the stats to my grandfather when I explained to him. Deron Bland now has 4 interceptions for a touchdown. I think that's 4 return touchdowns with interceptions. I think that's an NFL, tied for an NFL record all time of interceptions, touchdowns in a season. That'd be cool to see someone break a record like that, because that's something that, that's something you rarely ever see, because it's hard to go for. It's hard to get 5 pick sixes in a season, believe it or not. So apparently there's a leaderboard for most pick sixes. Okay, so there's a tie, yep. So Deron Bland is tied with Eric Allen, Jim Kearney, and Ken Houston for the most pick sixes in a single season. So he has the rest of the season to potentially get one more. Would be awesome to see records like that broken. But yeah, pretty much Dallas just turned it on late, ended up blowing them out. And now Dallas moves ahead to Washington on Thanksgiving. And it's going to be interesting to see Cowboys in that middle slate, in the middle of the burger. We got the Lions, Packers, and the one bread game. The other bread game, 49ers, Seahawks. Then we got the meat in the middle, Cowboys, Commanders. It's going to be an interesting one. Bucks, 49ers. 49ers win 27-14. The Bucks basically score a garbage touchdown with 14-22. Weird, right? Garbage and 14-22. But I mean, hey, the 49ers looked like they were back. Brock Purdy, 333 for 3 touchdowns on 21 and 25 passing. I think he has the first perfect passer rating since Joe Montana. Wow. I think for those of you who might have laughed at me a little bit earlier when I said I got chills when Matt Canada was fired, I can't tell you how long I've just been hearing Steelers fans just going at him, and friends I know who are Steelers fans just talking shit about him. Other people we know just like, man, this guy's horrible. So this is monumentous that they finally did end up getting rid of him. But yeah, going back to 49ers Bucks, though, like I said, it was pretty much just a domination game for the Bucks, for the 49ers. They were able to kind of manhandle the Bucks. Shout out Mike Evans, scores another touchdown. That's Thursday. I don't know if we can do it this Thursday because it's Thanksgiving week. I'm talking about that at the end of the episode, by the way. We got some plans. Normal week should be a normal week for me. I just might not do Hump Day Hoops because of my boy. I'm going to respect him, let him have some fun on Thanksgiving, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm going to either this week or I might save it for next week after Thanksgiving. I'm going to go over my NFL futures again that I gave out because a lot of them should be close, if not already done. Christian McCaffrey rushing touchdown-wise should have... He should be really, really close, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think he's 9. If I counted the right, he's 9, for example. So we got some guys that some of my futures are gonna be rolling up and done here soon. So I'm gonna talking about that. But yeah, big win by the 49ers. Mike Evans scores again. He's going to be on an NBA Jam watch because he's been scoring a lot the last few games. I believe it's 2 in a row. He's on. It's funny, man. He started off the season 3 in a row, 2-week break, 2 in a row, week break, 2 in a row. So, hey, we'll see if he can make the hat trick happen. We got 2 more games to talk about, the 2 night games. We'll talk about this one first. Broncos-Vikings. This one was oddly a weird and kind of exciting game. It was, I don't know, if you're a football purist, I don't even gotta be a football purist. If you just love football, the games like these, even though they can be grimy, there's something that, if you're a little bit of a sicko, you love these games. I'll be honest, I really love this game. It felt like it was 17-9 for a while. I mean, there's some bad QB play, some great defensive play. Shout out the Broncos, man. 10 takeaways, I think, the last 3 games. That's an insane amount of... That's just insane. I mean, that just doesn't happen in the NFL very often, if at all. But yeah, I mean, this game was about back and forth you can get. Josh Dobbs had some amazing plays. He also had some boneheaded plays here and there. It seems like that's a bit of the Josh Dobbs experience where I would say for about 95% of the game, he'll make so many right decisions and good plays for you. But there's 5% of the game where you're just like, what are you doing, Josh? And that 5% of the game ended up costing them today. They messed around a little bit. They've had a few too many turnovers, so they allowed the Broncos to hang in. Ty Chandler did look impressive. Cortland Sutton, the king of the NBA Jam, he scores again. But that last drive, I mean, it basically comes down to a last drive. When it comes to scoring, the Vikings kick a field goal with 3:20 left. And then I can't remember exactly how the game ended up falling out. I can't remember if the Broncos got a turnover, if they got the ball off a punt, or if it was off that score. But it was basically, I mean, the Broncos scored 12 points unanswered. Fourth quarter-wise, I mean, they get a turnover field goal. I think they either got a punt to get a stop or got another turnover, were able to get a field goal. And then it led to, man, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the exact score. I guess it was 20 to, I think it was 20 to 15. Or sorry, 20 to 14. I don't know. I can't remember what the score was. They didn't get the 2, so obviously, but basically last drive, Russell Wilson goes down. It's a lot of checkdowns to the running back, but I mean, I'm gonna lie, the Vikings defense left the running backs open all day, so it was just dump off running back 10 yards, or dump off running back 15 yards, quick pass here for 12 yards. They get him right down the field, and then Russell Wilson just throws a beautiful jump ball, basically. He sees Cortland Sutton, he does his little thing where he runs around a little bit, throws a beautiful jump ball up to his guy, and Cortland Sutton has done what he's done all season, dunks on a guy, grabs the ball, toe taps. This was the play that hit my nasty boy. If you followed, I really hope I honestly hope somebody's following along with these nasty boys that I give out. I really hope so, because if you have, it's been a really fun time. It's awesome. I mean, I'm 4-23, so you see the record, oh man, he hasn't hit at all. But if you look at the odds we're hitting, I mean, we're up at least 200 plus in the year. It's insane. So yeah, my nasty boy this week. If you want to check out the nasty boys, I usually post them on Stare Down Sports because I wait till the day before the game to fully figure out what I like. But yeah, I had Tyreek Hill, David Montgomery, Mike Evans, all them to score. Cortland Sutton was the last one, so I'm watching that whole game. I also bet Cortland to score on the side. I think I threw 20 on him to score on the side. That was a win 60, basically. And that bet right there was 10 to win 245. So just on Cortland Sutton scoring alone, I won 300. But man, the thrill, I tell you what, sitting there watching that jump ball happen, you just see Cortland Sutton go, mop. Woo! Hey, I tell you what, it was 11:30 at night, but you would have thought it was the first quarter of that game at 9 o'clock. I'm jumping up. That got me juiced and hyped, man. I also bet on the Broncos. That was really awesome. Awesome win by the Broncos. But that was just genuinely, even if I lost that game, if I was on the Vikings side, I feel like even then, that was a game where it's man, I would have been hurt. Don't get me wrong. Would have been hurt if it was lost. It would have been man, that was a beautiful game. And it truly was. Shout out to the Broncos, man. Coming back to 5-5. The Vikings are 6-5. Both these teams are clawing back, man. They were dead in the water, and all of a sudden now they're just floating around with a chance to do something. Last night games, the Philadelphia Eagles play the Kansas City the Chiefs. Man, I went to bed just watching MVS drop that ball. Justin Watson drop a few balls. I'm not going to call anybody out because it's the end. It was also raining last night as well, so I'm not going to just bash everybody. But yeah, the Eagles did what they do. They hang around in a game long enough to be able to steal it. It was 17-7 for the longest time. The Chiefs fumbled in the red zone. They had an interception in the red zone. They just basically had. I mean, the Chiefs just felt like they messed around a little bit too much. There was a lot of drops. That was the biggest thing. There was a lot of drops that led to Jalen Hurts getting a rushing touchdown in the third quarter, and then he does it again in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs in the second half, I think it's official, they're the worst offense in the second half of every game. I mean, the graphic, I think it said last night they averaged 5.9 points a game, and they didn't score this game, so it's only in the second half, so it's only going to go down that much more. That's a real issue for the Chiefs. It sucks though because they had scored a touchdown last night. I mean, Mahomes throws it perfectly into MVS's hands, just drops it. Literally just drops it. I don't get why he dropped it. I don't know how he drops it. Like I said, though, I'm not going to talk trash because at the end of the day, he gets paid millions to be an NFL wide receiver and get to do all that while I'm doing a podcast. Don't get me wrong. I love this, but I would also love to be playing in the NFL too. So I'm not going to talk trash on it. Like I said, it's just that was very frustrating to watch, especially with someone. I'll admit, I had a little skin in the game. So I was like, oh, man. Because I ended up live betting the Chiefs at a certain number. Felt like that was it. And then on 4th and 25, Justin Watson runs a perfect route, basically. Literally sprints, gets the spots he needs to, turns around. I mean, not Tony Romo, sorry. Troy Aikman. I don't know why I spaced that for so long. Troy Aikman said, like, hey, usually you want to play back against quarterback. Mahomes might not be the guy you want to. I mean, Mahomes threw a rocket. The ball got there, felt like in a second and a half, and it just goes through I mean, don't get me wrong. There was some heat on that pass. I can understand why he dropped it, but the fact that he has the hands like this, it went right through the middle. I won't lie. I obviously I know I'm not an NFL receiver or anything, but when I was growing up and everything, they always taught you to keep your hands, keep the triangle, and then you separate it as the ball comes in, if you need it. As you see the ball getting closer, if you need to be oh, okay. I was taught always try to keep it like this if you can, and then do it like that. It's just weird to see NFL receivers try to. I won't lie. I'm not an NFL receiver, so I know there's different type of catch angles where you have to go over the shoulder, you have to do that. It just feels like there's a lot of games lately where I watch. It feels like the receivers are throwing their hands the wrong way. There's a ball coming at their chest, and they try to go like this and catch it instead of that. There's a ball over their shoulder. Where, I'll admit, maybe they can just let it catch like that. But, hey, if you go up and go like this to catch it, be more aggressive, you're for sure getting it. There's a lot of plays like that where I just look and I'm like, I don't know, man. I just feel like they could. I feel like receivers could be a little bit better, potentially, when it comes to catching some balls. But like I said, I'm not an NFL receiver, so I'm not going to bash them. But shout out to Eagles, man. Big win. Chiefs fall to 7-3. Eagles move to 9-1. Shout out to also to the big Kelsey bro, Jason Kelsey. First win against Travis in the NFL. So, I mean, that's something to brag about. Finally can get the 0 off the record book. Falcons, Colts, New England, and New Orleans were all the teams on bye. But that does it for the NFL score-wise. That's all the NFL scores for this week. We'll quickly burn through some news. We already talked about Matt Canada being fired. Patrick Mahomes takes the blame for the loss, but it's not on him. Like I said, they had a lot of drops. Oh, my gosh. So this is something. Tim Boyle, like I said, he started, but they're dropping Wilson to the third string. So this is all from Robert Saleh, just to give Boyle the opportunity, Saleh said, of his decision. Different styles of quarterback, so it's really just to give him the opportunity to see if he can do something with the offense. Saleh added that Trevor Siemian, who's currently on New York's practice squad, will serve as Boyle's backup to Week 12. Wilson will be active as the team's number 3 option at quarterback. Wow. I just can't believe that they finally just waited this long, and now they're going this drastic with it. They finally just couldn't wait it. They couldn't wait any longer, and they're finally fine, we'll bench Zach. We're making him third string. We aren't even going to leave him the chance to come in. That is crazy to think about when he was just defending him. Which I understand, but it's just, that whole New York Jets situation's just been wild. It's just been wild, honestly. Bosa's going to head to the IR with the foot sprain. He did the second play of the game, too. So that adds on to the Chargers' losses as well. Cooper Kupp day-to-day with a sprained ankle. Okay, so Harbaugh said there's an outside chance that he returns this season. There might be an outside chance he could get back at some point, so we'll just have to see how that goes. Harbaugh said, I don't want to say definitely, but to have to stretch, but there's some optimism. So, I mean, if you don't remember, this was the hip drop tackle on Thursday night that basically, broke his ankle, I want to say. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to return, though, because, it's especially with an ankle injury, you have to be able to cut, and it's a broken bone in his ankle. It's going to be... There's going to be some time for that. Yeah, Seahawks are optimistic Geno Smith will play, so it's better than what I heard. Oh, I also forgot to mention this for the 49ers. Huge loss. Hufanga tore his ACL. He will miss the remainder of the season. That is a huge loss. Huge loss. He has been really, really impressive. Injuries suck, man. We've had a lot of injuries now. We're starting to get to that point of the season. Yeah, that's just a huge loss. You hate to see it for them. Apparently there was this tunnel skirmish between the Jets and the Bills. So I'm going to read this from Dion Dawkins. Excuse me. This is what Dion Dawkins has to say about it. I'm a humble guy. I'm not a fan, man. I'm not a fan of the Jets. Very disrespectful players. It is what it is. And when we can run them past and beat a team like that, cool, thumbs up. He had guys playing with a lot of emotion and a lot of physicality, but it's just a lot of BS, man. A lot of BS like those guys, it is what it is. You can tell that's a division rival where they're really battling out. Sorry, this is a 50-second video, so I'm going to kind of talk over it while I'm watching it. So apparently they're all going in the tunnel. Apparently Clements is going over to Dawkins to basically yell at him. Because for those of you who don't know, Dawkins basically went a little bit extra with his block on Clemens. He basically Clemens, they were fighting. This was at some point in the game. They were basically blocking at a certain point. Clemens basically loses his footing, falls backwards on a run. Dawkins basically sprints over and then just basically does what some linemen do. They finish the block. He ran right up to him basically. I can't remember if he planted it in the ground or Clemens fell, but basically I think Clemens sort of fell, and then Dawkins just basically throws all of his weight into him, and then Clemens ends up reacting and pushing him back, and they end up getting to a kind of an altercation on the field. And it seems like that basically spilled over because Clemens is the main guy who's perpetrating all this. He goes right up to Dawkins, and he's basically getting in his face talking. Then he's got C.J. Mosley coming in. Dawkins just sitting there waving at him, being funny. Or sorry, that's not Dawkins, that's defensive lineman. But he basically, all this is from Clemens. This was from the Clemens-Dawkins incident in the game, if that makes sense. Broncos Kareem Jackson is going to be suspended for, it looks like, 4 games after another illegal hit situation. I didn't think it was that bad, honestly. I get why they're doing it, though. I won't lie. They didn't call it in the game, so I get why they didn't. So I could get why they shouldn't have done something. But I also see him he launches, kind of leads with the head. I kind of get where they're coming from with that. So I also can't talk too much about it. I understand it. Joe Flacco is going to sign with the Browns. We're going to see if he ends up starting here soon. He might, for sure. He'll be good for Dorian Thompson-Robinson regardless, just to help him with learning and everything. Let's see. I don't think there's a neck injury to Taylor Rapp. He and another Bills player ran into each other. It sounds like he's going to be out for a week or two potentially. Man. Kenneth Walker got an oblique injury Sunday. He's going to be, I don't know what his status is going to be as of right now. I think they're still trying to kind of figure it out. Playing Thursday, though, that's going to be a tough one because that is a quick turnaround. Past that, we talked about how has 3 interceptions. I talked about the 3 interception game for C.J. Stroud and how he compared it to. Devon Achane hurt his knee right as he returned, so I don't know what they're going to do when it comes to. I don't know how they're going to bring him back. They're for sure going to bring him back slower than they already did, so we're going to have to see what happens there. That's just big. That sucks for the Dolphins because he was so promising from the plays he had. Aaron Jones got carted off the field. It looked originally bad at first, but also sounds like it looked like honestly, it looked like something where it's torn ACL. He's done for the year. This is going to be horrible, but apparently it might not be as bad. He only might miss a few weeks. We'll have to see because it sounds like it might not be as bad as it could be. Desmond Ridder's going to be starting this week for the Falcons. I don't know if that's because Taylor Heineke's still hurt or if they just finally feel like he's ready. The biggest thing was that Arthur Smith felt like he just needed to take a seat back, Desmond Ridder, and just kind of basically take a deep breath and then get maybe him going back in, he'll be okay. The Bengal, Zach Taylor, I guess, kind of, okay, never mind. It's the other way. Zach Taylor actually kind of supported Logan Wilson. Which, I would get, the hip drop tackle, people saying how dirty he is and everything. Think about it. If the NFL allows, I understand player safety-wise, but the NFL allows these players to tackle different ways. If they weren't limiting the defensive players so much, stuff like this wouldn't happen. Tom Brady said it best. See, he has a minute clip that's out on media from the Stephen A. talking about how quarterback play has been basically mediocre and how it's dropped off since he played. Give it a listen, man. He's preaching in that. He speaks really well, and I agree with a lot of what he says because, yeah, a lot of these injuries that offensive players should be protecting offensive players and defensive players should be protecting defensive players. The NFL shouldn't be trying to make defensive players protect offensive players because, first off, you got to protect yourself to then protect others. It's a whole. We don't need to get into it. That's just something I noticed that I thought was really cool. Cousins is planning to make a return from the Achilles and play next year. Commanders Ron Rivera said he's comfortable about a job status. This is before the game, though, obviously. I just think Homie's lost, man. Homie might be lost. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for this week. I don't think I have anything big. Dan Campbell, one thing to end off when it comes to college, Dan Campbell will do anything but except be the Texas A&M head coach. So we'll help out Texas A&M any way he can, except for being their head coach. But yeah, that's going to do it. We got, like I said, 3 games Thursday, a game Friday, a lot of games Sunday in NFL, and then we even got a Monday night game. No teams on bye. We got a full week next week. It's going to be a good one, man. But yeah, we're going to move on to some NCAA action. Quickly read over the top 25 before we go into some important scores. Georgia at number 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, Washington 4. That's the big change. Florida State dropped to 5 after the Jordan Travis injury. I think, man, that was disgusting. That was a leg snapper. It looks like he broke his ankle. I mean, for those of you, you know how the foot looks like this. His ankle and foot were like this. Like the foot's supposed to sit up like this. Yeah, it was one of those things. He immediately slid. And then you could tell people rushing over. He's doing the whole. Kid broke his ankle. It's disgusting. It was very similar to the Dak Prescott injury. For those of you who remember that. We'll keep moving on. That was the top 5. Oregon at 6, Texas 7, Alabama, Louisville, Missouri rounding out the top 10. Shout out Missouri, man, strong season. Penn State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, LSU, Oregon State, Arizona, Notre Dame, Tulane, Kansas, Iowa round out the top 20. Then Oklahoma State, Liberty, Toledo, James Madison, Tennessee rounds out the top 25. And now, score-wise, just some important scores from last week. Oops, that's basketball. We aren't talking about NCAA basketball yet. Not yet, baby. Let's see. Tuesday night, nothing really important other than some small action. Toledo wins to go to 10-1, so it's gonna be big for their conference play. Ohio improves to 8-3, so I believe that's Toledo. Ohio's gonna be the matchup. Boston College loses to Pitt, so they have to win next week in Miami to go bowling. I mean, they basically had a chance to go bowling these last 2 weeks, and they've now lost 2 weeks in a row. So it's basically do or die for this last week to go bowling. Colorado gets absolutely boast-raced by Washington State, so their season's over for sure. 4-7, though. Shout out to Dion. He's definitely improved Colorado from what it was last year, but they still got a little bit ways to go. Northwestern beats Purdue to go 6-5. They win the next game. They're going bowling, and they play Illinois. So you best believe I'm going to be on Northwestern in that game. I can't wait to watch that one. Notre Dame blows out Wake Forest in a revenge game for Sam Hartman. Louisville beats Miami, so they're for sure in the ACC championship game. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Tulane beats Florida Atlantic. Alabama blows out Chattanooga. Michigan wins a closer one against Maryland. Maryland ends up keeping it way closer than I thought personally, so shout out to them. BYU, they lose by 7 to Oklahoma. Yet another team that kept it a lot closer than I thought they would. Penn State covers by a hook against Rutgers, 27-6. Ole Miss blows out Louisiana Monroe. Texas A&M, man, I want to shout out them real quick. They had a really cool moment in their game. They had a walk-on, basically had the walk-on kickoff team. So it was basically a kickoff team. All 12 guys were walk-ons. That's probably one of the loudest the stadiums was all day. They played Albany and Christian. They won 38-10, but really, really cool moment. They had a 12-man kickoff team of all walk-ons. And for those of you who don't know, walk-ons build your program. If you look at any college, I bet you easily one of the most, obviously besides the superstars, it's like one of the top 3 most important things to have are good walk-ons, because walk-ons are key pivotal your programs. They're guys that are, they aren't on scholarships. They're, having to do jobs after football. They're doing other stuff. These are guys that truly love football. They come in, they work every day, and they make you better, because truly, there's guys, I bet you easily, there's guys that, I saw it at my college, there's guys that, they maybe don't have a big of scholarship as you. They don't have this as you do. And they just work so damn hard to try to earn it. It makes you realize, like, hey, I can't take this shit for granted. And they're a pivotal part of every program. I can't explain how important they are. I could spend an hour explaining how important walk-ons are. But to sum up the story real quick, they had basically an all walk-on kickoff team. They run down. I won't lie, 43 absolutely hit somebody hard. Drills a guy. The returner kind of bounces off it, stumbles forward, ends up fumbling the ball. They get the ball back. I recommend watching it. If you can watch that Texas A&M walk-on kickoff team, that was chills, man. That was really cool. Literally, it's moments like that are literally what sports all about. Those kids, and now it's something those kids will remember for literally the rest of their lives. It was. I'm getting choked up a little bit talking about it. That was true. I mean, it's seriously. That was awesome moment in sports getting to watch that. Moving on, Liberty wins against UMass. That's how they stay undefeated. Big for Appalachian State upsets James Madison, ruining their undefeated season. Jacksonville State, the wagon baby, they continue to cover. Arizona blows out Utah to continue their strong season. Arkansas State put up 77 on Texas State. Holy hell. That is a big score. Virginia beats Duke by 3. Duke just, man, ever since Riley Leonard got hurt, their season just fell in the toilet. That was crazy. Air Force barely loses it to UNLV. Their over-under was going to be, man, you want to talk about some craziness. Their over-under is, I believe, 8.5, and if they lose to Boise next week, they went 8-0, and now they're 8-3. It's they just had a crazy fall from grace after they just basically Larry got hurt for them. That was their season. Georgia blows out Tennessee. That one wasn't really close. Clemson beats UNC 31-20. UNC also has been having a slide. They've been man. Iowa beats Illinois by 2. Oklahoma State ends up covering late against Houston after a very close game. Minnesota blown out by Ohio State. Oregon blows out Arizona State. UCF loses by 1 at their impressive game last week. Florida State blows out North Alabama, but loses Jordan Travis in a loss. I mean, that was so sad, man. I feel so bad for Jordan Travis just thinking about it still. Kansas loses a close one to Kansas State. Washington wins a close one against Oregon State. That was really good. Missouri wins a close one against Florida. South Carolina upsets Kentucky. LSU blows out Georgia State. Texas beats Iowa State. That's going to do it score-wise. Those are all the important scores. I will end this episode with some quick news about the NCAA if there's anything big. Harbaugh suspended for sure the 3 games. Florida State confirmed that Travis's leg injury will end the season. Yeah, I don't think they need to come out and say that. The dude's leg was on the side. The only thing I will admit, only thing that sucks for this kid, I know I laughed a little bit there, but this kid is I just hope it's not like super serious. Obviously it's a serious injury, but I hope he's still able to play. He's able to walk and all this. Because, I mean, he's a senior, man. That's it. His college career is over. His last college play was him breaking his leg like that. That really, really sucked. Oh, my gosh. So Cam Rising is going to return for his 7th season. 7th season. That is wild, dude. It's just funny to think that people can even stay that long. I think it's just crazy because, personally for me for college, due to injury and so I got redshirted my freshman year. Was supposed to play my sophomore year a lot more. Tore my labrum, so I was out my sophomore year, and then junior year I was back to it. But with COVID, we basically got 3 years. So technically, I could have played. I could have been one of those guys as well. I got 7 or 8 years of college football. But I won't lie. As much as I love college football, I physically was about to give out at that point. So man, I was just mentally taxed from all the injuries and everything. So personally, for me, I gave it out a little bit. But man, that's just to think that many people can play through that. Washington State are going to extend their Apple Cup rivalry. That's huge. We love that. Syracuse, they're after 8 seasons fires their head coach. Graham Mertz for Florida suffers a collarbone injury. Yeah, that's about where I'm going to end it there. Actually, it's going to be a big game next week. Quickly for college, so you can get some big games. So you know, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. TCU, Oklahoma. Let's see. I know there's going to be some good ones. I think a lot of them are saved for later. Texas Tech. There should be a good one. Oregon State's going to be a good one. Those are all Friday. Oh my gosh. They have a lot of Friday games this week. We got a lot of college games on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturday, Purdue, IU, Notre Dame, Stanford, Ohio State, Michigan, UCF, Houston, Louisville, Kentucky. It's going to be rivalry after rivalry, man. It's going to be really awesome. That's where we're going to end it, man. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. Like I said, we are going to do Hump Day Hoops this week. I'm sorry. They were just talking about something else. I thought it was a bit more news with the Steelers. But, we are going to do Hump Day Hoops this week. I'm going to text Rowan. We're going to go back to the series next week. It's Thanksgiving, man. I'm basically, just going to not worry about the holiday. Enjoy the holidays and everything. We'll get back and talk about hoops next week. But I'm still going to look for Thursday normal time. I should be the normal stuff. Pickem. It should just be normal stuff. Pickem, college bets, NFL bets, normal stuff, normal Thursday. But yeah, I should also be appearing by Captain by Hook tomorrow for all the NFL games, so I'll be enjoying that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for support. Really do appreciate it, and I'll see everybody back in this feed on, I guess what? Thursday, man. Yeah.